जय गौरा हरे.
Welcome to another episode of TwoMuchWise.
This is the Gita Expedition series where we explore the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, verse by verse and chapter by chapter.
All that we discuss here is what we've heard from perfected teachers and spiritualists from the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. None of this is our own analysis.
If you're here for the first time, then we recommend that you watch the warm-up series of the Bhagavad Gita where we introduce some concepts of the Gita for the first time.
This episode is better heard than watched. You can hear it while taking a walk, while driving, cooking, or even walking out.
We've had a lot of fun recording this, and we hope that it's an enriching experience for all of you as well. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समावेतायुयुत्सवः मामका पाण्डवश्चैव किम् अकुर्वत Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
Hey, so welcome back to another episode on Too Much Wise. We are here discussing various bhakti texts, Vedic scriptures, what, where, why, how of these ancient treasure troves of wisdom. In these discussions, we basically try and see that is this wisdom even relevant to us in this day and age? If yes, how do we actually apply it and to get what? With choti moti personal experiences, challenges, benefits that we have maybe felt. We hope that this discussion is an exploratory one of this virasat of ours, and that too with an open mind and an open heart. And on that note, Anunay Prabhu, over to you.
We're just starting the Bhagavad Gita. Today is the first day of Bhagavad Gita. We're reading the first shloka from the first chapter. It's a very dramatic opening. It's a very Bollywood like. Think of yourself sitting in a movie hall. The screen goes from black to a blind person sitting alone, not alone, but sitting almost alone, feeling alone in an empty room with his assistant on the side.
Mm.
And this blind man is tensed, nervous, almost sweating, and he's asking his assistant what's happening on the
Yeah,
battlefield where my sons and the sons of my brother Pandu are prepared to fight a war. That's the
yeah,
setting.
yes. Yes, it definitely seems like a very dramatic opening. You would think when someone thinks of the Bhagavad Gita, Dharm Granth, and scripture, you basically have instruction 1, instruction 2, instruction 3, instruction 4, and then you follow it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you follow it, aap Nastik ho. Congratulations. If you don't follow it, you're a Nastik. Sorry, if you follow it, you're a Nastik.
You're an
Astik. So if you follow it, yeah, you're a theist. Yes sir, I follow this, I'm a follower of god, I'm going to heaven. And if you don't follow it, doomed, eternally doomed, and then you go to hell. That's what usually, I mean, we might not say it out loud, but ऐसा लगता है कि हम सोच सकते हैं ऐसा. But here, what are we seeing? We're seeing this old king, a monarch, very powerful, kingdom. But he's blind. He's asking his assistant what is happening, what is ensuing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Mahabharat war. Actually, ऐसा लगता है, ये ऐसा लग सकता है कि ये abrupt है. It's very abrupt, but we also have to remember that Mahabharat actually is part of a bigger text, which is the Mahabharat.
Bhagavad
The
Gita
epic,
is part of the bigger
yeah,
text.
Gita is part of the Mahabharat. So
Yeah.
it's a continuation there. Bhagavad Gita is like an excerpt from there. Very important excerpt. A text in itself, of course, standalone, but it has a backstory to it. And that backstory is the Mahabharat. So always we'll have to remember that whatever characters that we see here and talk about in this and learn from, they are definitely in the midst of Mahabharat. Yeah. Your thoughts,
Yeah,
Prabhu?
yeah. Actually, mathematically speaking, Bhagavad Gita is 0.7% of the Mahabharata. It's
Yeah,
700 shlokas out of 1 lakh shlokas. Uh,
yeah.
but in this part, the first shloka that we are reading today, it starts with Dhritarashtra Uvacha, which means
Mm.
Dhritarashtra is saying. This is the
Yeah.
only time in the entire Bhagavad Gita Dhritarashtra gets to speak, uh, and it's
His claim to
actually
fame, whatever he might have been, he's a big king and this and that is Pandu's brother, and he's seen Krishna and he's done all that. I think his claim to fame is, he can write this in his CV that for, you know how the Gita, no, shuru kisse hoti
first shloka,
hai?
first shloka.
I only say it. No, I only started.
But it's a very telling shloka. They say
Yeah.
that you can get to know the character of a sly person as soon as the person opens his mouth.
Mouth. Yes.
So, so you get to know everything about Dhritarashtra in this
One,
one shloka.
just one
And
shloka.
I feel like Vyasadev wasn't fair to him. Vyasadev could have easily saved him from centuries of ill reputation if he would have not included this shloka.
Yeah.
Just by this shloka, Dhritarashtra's ill reputation is known to all now.
Actually,
Uh,
I would say it's not ill reputation, it is his reputation. It's his actually it is his character. And it's very important, whatever, as you said, it's a very telling shloka. In this, just in this one shloka, you get to know so much about the Dhritarashtra, so much about why everything is happening. This chapter, Prabhupada called this setting of the battlefield, right? The setting the scene, right? Battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this is what sets the scene of why everything
yeah,
is happening. It reveals so much in just these whatever 4 lines in one shloka, 4 lines.
yeah,
This reveals so much of, oh my god, is this why this whole big war is happening? And yeah, it's very revealing. I just want to comment on one thing, Prabhu, here. Technical thing, I like technical things. Maybe I'll just say it, that in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedavyas has multiple speakers, not too many, but multiple speakers, and we get to know who's speaking which shloka, like this. Like at the beginning of their part of series of verses, it basically mentioned who's speaking by saying dash uvacha. Like here, it's
yeah,
Dhritarashtra who's speaking, one verse. So it says Dhritarashtra uvacha, and the next verse, if someone else starts it, their series, their side of the conversation, it'll say Sanjaya Uvacha, basically. Sanjay speaks, and Arjun speaks, or someone else speaks. So yeah, that's one technical thing that I just wanted to share. Yeah,
yeah. And what else? Like you said that this one shlok, these 4 lines tell a lot about the context in the battlefield. So you
yeah.
you you share the first thing that the shlok talks about.
This shloka, it's a well known shloka. It's the first shloka of the Gita. Anybody who ever takes a resolution that no, I will try and memorize all shlokas of the Gita, will start from here. And even if that person doesn't go, follow through, at least one shloka they'll know. And which shloka will that be? This one for sure.
Mhm.
There are a couple of shlokas in the Gita which are well renowned, most famous, and this is one of them. And I'd heard about it. I had not learnt about it, I hadn't studied it, but when I was taught about it, it blew my mind. It was like, uh, how much can one person say in just one shloka, right? In just these 4 lines, what all can we get to know? Dharam kshetre Kurukshetre. Just this one line, can you can speak so much about, because Kurukshetra. I live in Gurgaon, Haryana. So if I take my car registration ka, the card that you get, registration, the car registration
RC,
registry,
RC.
RC, yeah,
Yeah.
RC. So when you take that, on the top of it, you see a Rath with Krishna and Arjun on it. Haryana mostly has everything emblemized as Krishna and Arjun. Why? Because it was in Haryana. It is still in Haryana. It falls now in the province of Haryana, in the state of Haryana, which place? Kurukshetra. So this is the state, we can call it, where Krishna spoke the Gita to Arjun. And we know the place Kurukshetra. It's geographically, you know that India mein kahan pe hai and all of that. But why do we know it? Why is it famous? Because the war of Mahabharata happened there. That's how we know it. But here it is revealed that it's actually, it was famous before that also. If you read the scriptures, it is mentioned that Kurukshetra mein Mahabharat hua, isliye that's not famous. In fact, it is a famous place, hence the Mahabharat happened there. The war of Mahabharat, the venue, the battlefield chosen for the Mahabharata to take place was chosen as Kurukshetra for a particular reason, and that particular reason is why Kurukshetra is anyway famous. Kurukshetra was not chosen just because, where will these 18 Akshohini senas stand, utna khula maidan kidhar hai, like you that's not the criteria why Kurukshetra was chosen. Kurukshetra was chosen because of the first word, what he prefixes it with that word. It says Dharmakshetra, right? It is the Dharm. It was a Dharm Kshetra. It was a place of pilgrimage. Even if you read the translation, Dhritarashtra is also saying that they've assembled on the place of pilgrimage. Right? It's a place of pilgrimage. Even now, some solar eclipses happen. People still go there, take a dip, and all of that. They still do that. But it was always, since time immemorial, it was a place of pilgrimage. It was a pious, potent place. People go to
Yeah.
dhams. People go to
Kuru,
dhams.
Kuru,
Yeah,
Kuru, who's like
yeah, yeah. It's
the
related.
one who started this dynasty. He
Yes,
performed a lot of austerities,
yes.
and then
Till the
mm,
land and all of
because
that.
of
Yeah,
yeah, because of his that's when it was first identified as a really really auspicious
yes,
place.
yes,
And then after that many kings followed, and it's like
yeah.
you can compare it to a Haridwar or a
Exactly.
Prayag
Yeah,
in Allahabad today. That's how it was always considered before the Kurukshetra war.
yeah. But it's a funny thing. Then why would you? I mean, you would not say, "अरे हरिद्वार जाके लड़ते हैं." Like you, अगर आपकी किसी से लड़ाई हो गई, तो you would say, बाहर मिल, and you say all of that. No, in Delhi especially, you won't say हरिद्वार में मिलियो मेरे को, and you wouldn't say that. You'll be like, "अरे, why would you go there and fight? It's a place of pilgrimage. Why don't go there and fight?" But earlier on, wars weren't whimsical. This isn't a war just between two families in domestic dispute and all of that. This is a war between dharma and adharma, right? It's a dharma yuddha. So if it's a dharma yuddha, where should it happen? On the dharma kshetra. Why? Because if it happens, if it is so important, it is of so much importance that it should happen on a dharma kshetra, so that the side which is on dharma, people say, even in sports, may the best side win today. People
Yeah,
even say that.
yeah,
They wanted that the uh, fine, you and I don't agree, but may the best side win. You and I don't
yeah,
know which is the best side. I think I'm on the best side, you think you're on the best side. Let's fight it out, but let's fight it out on the on a in a place which is potent enough, and which influences this war towards dharma, right? And may the dharmic side win, and that is why this
yeah.
place was basically chosen.
Yeah, simplistically put, dharma, mm, you can see duty as a synonym for dharma. So one
Yeah,
side, which is the Pandavas, are saying we're dutiful.
yeah,
Kauravas are saying we're dutiful, and then
mm,
they're saying let's fight on the land of duty and let
yeah,
the land of duty influence and give out
yeah.
the winner of duty, like who's
Right.
doing their
Yes,
duty
yes,
perfectly.
yes.
The land will give it out.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Also, it's very interesting to see that they're going and fighting on a sort of foreign land. Like this was not
Mm,
the city.
yeah.
Wars weren't fought in cities.
Mm.
There are no
It's the land.
civilians
Yeah.
who have any chance of getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
So there was humanity even in a
Even in
war.
war.
There
Yeah.
was there was respect for life even in a war.
Yeah. They say that
And there are
it is said that Mahabharat, because it is at the end, the dusk of Dwapar and the start of Kali, so dharma has declined already, right? So Mahabharat is a book of gray characters. You will see a lot of good people doing bad things and bad people doing good things, and you'll see a lot of rules being broken, bent, contorted. You'll see all of that in the Mahabharat, right? So you'll see this, that yes, they were, the war was happening. What is the honorable thing? The honorable thing that is, when the sun sets, they would still
yeah,
sit with each other, talk, and they wouldn't be inimical to each other even in war. So that's an honorable thing that they still used to follow. But there are a lot of dishonor that also happened during the war. but some honorable things, code of conduct, honor code was still followed in this war,
Yeah.
which reveals that how actual wars were fought and why.
Yeah, they were. It was really a war between uh, gentlemen. Like,
Gentlemen.
I don't want to say that Kauravas were complete gentlemen,
Yeah.
but at least during the war, barring those exceptions that you're mentioning, they were gentlemen. Today
Yeah.
also we have an honor code for wars. Like, UN exists for that,
Yeah.
but we know how much it is
Yeah.
followed.
Yeah.
But at that time, the code of war was really taken seriously, and they
Yeah.
followed it. Okay, moving ahead, I think the mm, I'm going to the third line, and if you want, we'll come back to the second line. The third line, which is Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, that's also very telling.
That is the most
This,
telling, and that is
yeah,
the seed. वो seed hai.
yeah,
That is where
yeah,
everything has started, and that is not just for them. This is not like you and I are sitting and making commentary on Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra and how they were so bad and this and that. This is telling for us. This is where
yeah.
our revelation, our internal revelation X-ray happens. And I would request that you go ahead. I know you have thoughts on this, so you go ahead and tell us what do you think.
Actually, today, if I use Mamaka, which means my or mine, then it's very usual. It's very normal.
Hmm. Yeah.
Here, Dhritarashtra is saying Mamaka, my sons, and Pandava,
Yeah.
Pandava's sons.
Yeah.
Pandu's son. Sorry, Pandu was Dhritarashtra's brother.
Hmm.
Okay, and by saying this, he's clearly drawing a line between his
Yeah.
own sons and his brother's sons.
Yes.
And this statement signifies the discrimination that was existing in his heart. It
Hmm.
comes out in his words.
Yeah.
He never looked at his son's brothers as his own brother,
Yeah.
his brother's sons as his own
Yeah.
sons.
Yeah.
But a monarch in that time was actually considered to be a good monarch if he considered the entire praja
As his own. Yeah.
as his own. He never discriminated between his own sons and or daughters for that matter and the rest of the people in the kingdom.
Yeah.
But here there is a clear demarcation. There's a fight between my sons
Yeah.
and his sons.
Yeah.
So that tells you about the character of a king
Yeah.
at that time.
It's basically like, and this has been the problem with Dhritarashtra from the beginning, that he somehow just could not place um, the duty or responsibility of the position over the ambition or the personal perks that come along with that position. He just could not place the duty responsibility part above his personal ambitions. He just couldn't. From the beginning he was like in angst that why wasn't he chosen as king, when he clearly knew that Pandu was more able, just because even on the grounds of physical abilities he was blind and he Pandu was able. So he could have, as a actual kshatriya he should have rejoiced that the right choice was made, and for the subject's sake the right choice was made, but he didn't. That's not what he rejoiced upon. He always had this kida in his mind that I should have become king. When he did, also because of Pandu's exile and his demise later, he was sad for Pandu because he lost his brother, but he was somehow happy also. Ki somehow Providence shaped this, course of whatever events towards him. And then when Pandu's sons, the Pandavas, came, then again he saw them as a threat. Because why? He saw his son as an extension of him, Duryodhana and the rest of the Kauravas, as an extension of him. If they took the crown again, he's like, oh my God, this is like deja vu. They'll be losing the crown again. He thought about the crown staying either on my head or on my son's head. He never thought about, is Duryodhan a better king, is better suited to be a king, or is Yudhishthir better suited to be a king? He never thought about that. And this here, as you said, that divide, mere bete, my sons, Mamaka or Pandavas, just think about it. Just normally think about it. They're two brothers. They both have children, and one of the am I back?
Yeah,
My
you're
bad.
back.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're two
Yeah.
brothers. Both of them have children, and the younger brother somehow passes away. Now, in this situation, as a elder brother, it is even when the brother is present, I should think of them as my kids only. Are mere bhai ke bete hain, they should there, I should treat them as my kids. But now the younger brother is not even there. It becomes more so my responsibility
Mm,
to take care
mm,
of them and shelter them as
mm,
my own kids, right? But here
mm.
that mentality is only there, let alone a king. Even as a family man, he shouldn't think my children and their children. It's very hard to believe now, because now this happens in every family. Nobody is
Yeah.
thinking my son, or
Yeah.
everybody's my son. Bolne ke liye they might say it, but everybody, you see domestic property disputes in every house, right? But uh, this is where it started. Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, right, in that time were a minority. Right now it's become normal, but
Yeah.
this is where it
Yeah.
started. And this
Yeah.
is what it shows for us, that mine, mera, I, me, mine, and yours, whatever is I, not I, me, mine, is someone else's. And that is where the problem starts. That is where the dual thinking starts. That's where the duplicity basically starts. And that's where Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam cannot be achieved. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam kya, like apne he couldn't manage his own family. In his own family, he's putting a divide here, let alone making the whole world a family, let alone seeing his own praja as full praja as his family. And that is not a sign of a good king. And father is like this, Duryodhana is 10x. And that is what we learn not to do. In the Gita, we learn what to do, but we also learn what not to do, I think.
I was reflecting earlier. I was
Yeah.
thinking that you rightly mentioned that for in today's world, this is very difficult to understand. What's the problem if he's looking at his brother's son as not his son's?
Mm.
Well, fine, that's okay. You may say that this is okay. They're different, but understand the extent of envy and enmity he had towards his brother's son.
Right.
That extent was so high that he was okay if his brother's son's wife was getting disrobed. He was
Yeah.
publicly disrobed publicly. He was okay if they were killed, they were
Mm.
destroyed, they were decimated. He was okay if they were exiled. There was
Yeah.
no mercy. So that amount of envy and enmity, even in
Yeah.
today's world, exists very rarely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the sort of envy he had in his heart. And as you mentioned rightly, this enmity and envy was rooted in his and his son's ambition
Mm.
to have it all, to have the kingdom.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's the setting.
Yeah.
Two brothers, one of them passed away, one brother and the other brother's sons, they're kind of fighting for the kingdom, but the Pandavas weren't really fighting. There was a
Yeah.
point in time in the Mahabharata when the Pandavas said, "We don't want anything, just give us 5 villages."
Yeah.
Although
Uh,
they were the
Before this war, actually, a
rightful,
lot of peace talks were tried.
yeah,
Like a lot of
yeah,
efforts were made to avoid this war. This war wasn't like a
yeah,
first go-to decision. Actually, this was his
yeah,
last resort.
yeah, yeah. And there is a Vedic moral code of conduct, or you could say
Mhm.
Vedic laws, according to which you can kill another person if he or she threatens you, tries to rape your wife, tries to take over your property forcefully, tries to arson you. And there's one more reason, but there are 5 reasons. Tries to poison you. That's the fifth reason. If anyone tries to do any of these things, basically tries to kill you, then you have all the right
Self-defense,
by
basically
law.
self-defense.
Yeah, yeah,
Mortal, when you're mortally in danger, or someone in your family is in mortal danger, you can in self-defense, or if you're an administrator, rightful administrator, as a punishment, you can award the death sentence, basically.
yeah. Which is what courts also do today, right? It's
Exactly.
just that
Yeah.
it comes after a lot of contemplation,
Yeah.
and then you look at 100 more things. But principally, you could
Principle. Yeah.
kill another if you felt harm to your life, to
Yeah.
mortality. And all these 5 things had been attempted
Yeah.
towards the
Yeah. All of
Pandavas.
them. Yeah.
all of them. And still, they were open to peace. They were
Yeah.
open to having nothing but just 5 villages out of a kingdom which was actually rightfully theirs.
Right.
So, very telling shloka. Uh, Also, I think before we close, there's one point that we should talk a little bit more about, which is how this sense of me and mine is so rooted and normal today.
Yeah.
My way or the highway.
Yeah.
Uh, it's so rooted. We don't pause to think about others. Naturally speaking, uh, we're it's just obvious that I have to think of my benefit. It's
Yeah.
so obvious. Like naturally, it's been ingrained into us that yeah, you think of yourself. That's
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
And whatever it takes, you do that.
Whatever it takes, you get so blind. Actually, this um I mean, there's a nice analogy that Dhritarashtra, he had all the good counsel in the world. He had Vidur, who's one of the wisest people of that time, as his step brother, or as his counsel. He had Krishna, who came and told him. A lot of other people who told him that, don't do this, it's not going to get you any good, this is not the right thing to do. Bhishma Dev himself, who came. But when you get blind, Dhritarashtra is supposed to be not just blind from his eyes, but in fact from his inner eyes also, from his intellect also. Why? Because he had all this good counsel. He knew what was the right thing to do, by the way. He knew what was the right thing to do, but he just couldn't. He was blind to it. Why? Because his illusion, his attachment to his son and his ambition through his son was so big that he just could not see reason. He knew what the right thing to do was. And one point that is also this is revealed in this shloka itself is, he's asking, what did my son and Duryodhan's, my sons and Pandu's son, they have gone there to fight. What did they do? Are if they've gone to fight, what will they do? They'll fight only, no. But he's so worried that I hope, because ye dharm kshetra pe gaye, a pious place they go to. A pious place has dham. If you go to Vrindavan or Mathura or Badrinath or Jagannath Puri, all these places, if you go to, it has some kind of effect on you. That's why people go there, right? It has on your consciousness, it has some kind of effect. So he's very worried. You know what? He's very worried that uske, his son doesn't get swayed into good reason. That's what he's worried about. And he's worried they ये समझौता ना कर ले, सद्बुद्धि ना आ जाए मेरे बेटे में. And वहां पे they don't basically just settle it out. And I hope he doesn't do that. He wants the war to happen. He knows that this is dharm kshetra. He knows where Krishna is standing, which side Krishna is standing. That is the side of dharma. He knows in this war, it dharma is the side of dharma is what will win, and others will perish. Which basically means his own son will die, who he is so attached to. But still, hope against hope. He's so blinded by his own ambition and his attachment to his son's desire, that he's hoping against hope that still they should fight. And ye मर जाए ये, these Pandu sons should die, so that ना रहेगी बांस ना बजेगी बांसुरी. Just the cause of all of this tension, the cause to all the anxiety of me or my son losing the crown, just they just go away, right? He's hoping against hope. And this is what we do. In fact, if our ambition or our illusion or attachment really goes big, our actions become really irrational, really illogical. They don't we don't act according to what actually we should be doing, or what actual intellect might direct us to do. We lose our intellect. Vinash kale vipurita buddhi, it is said. So in times of when you want to get destroyed, your intellect just goes against you. And that is what Dhritarashtra is showing we should not be doing by doing it himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're out of time.
Out of time. Yeah,
So
we're out of time.
yeah. So we'll come again. We'll continue the discussion in the
Yeah, I'm very
next.
excited. I'm very excited to do this Bhagavad Gita series. We'll take up these verses. Sometimes it'll be one verse like today, because it has so much content in it. And sometimes it'll be chunk of series of verses where we just get the story ahead, get the philosophy going, and we'll see how Krishna and Arjun talk it out and what happens next. It was a great discussion, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, see you in the next one.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya Gaura Hare